So, Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 15, called Channel 5. That's a lot of fives, premiered last night. Now, there's going to be a full spoiler warning for the episode, so if you haven't seen it, you've been warned. So the episode kicks off and we actually kind of get to see a video in the same way we've seen in episode 9 of this season, where it's Victoria and her group making a video showing how they help people. And she shows on her collar here the little key, and it shows where we can be the key to the future. And I think that may be a foreshadow to maybe somehow Victoria's group and then Georgie from Dead Walking Dead are kind of connected in a way just because of that line, the key to the future. I know it can be a very common phrase, but you never know. They're kind of building a lot of stuff in season 5 of this season of Fear that could come into season 10 or even further on in the future, or other Walking Dead properties. But when that video is over, it shows that Morgan and Al, and there's someone else in the room, I can't remember who, are actually watching this video, and Al gets so annoyed that she's kind of in a way copied her idea. But even though she's copied her idea, it's all lies. She gets the TV after watching it and she just smashes it on the floor and then just leaves the room. So then after the credits, we find out that, oh yeah, they're doing another tape episode because episode 9 did so well. But in fairness to them, when they were recording this episode, I think they were probably doing episode 1 or something was premiering. I don't know if they premiered the entire series before the episodes were done filming, but they had no idea about the feedback they would have gotten from episode 9 and how poorly received episode 9 actually was. So I'd say if they knew that in advance, they wouldn't have done another one of these tape episodes, because even though this episode is a lot better than episode 9, but I think it's just because there's a lot more to do in this episode than there was in episode 9. Episode 9 was very slow, or at least there is stuff to be able to be done in this episode. Also in this episode, we get to see that Tom, the guy that Morgan and Al saved last week, we find out that he actually gets reunited with his sister as he's recording something. I have no problem that he actually reunited with his sister, but the problem I do have is that it makes no sense in which way that they did reunite, because they were on either sides of a street that they were so far away from each other. You'd be able to tell that the person far away from them is alive and they're actually a person, but it'd be very hard to tell who that person is because they were such a far distance away. And as well, she screamed his name like, "Oh my god, it's you!" But he was behind something, so how did she see him there? I can't see the logic behind how. There was a better way to reconstruct that scene instead of having her so far away and him hidden behind something, because there's no way in hell they would have been able to see each other. And then they started talking about going to this, I think it's called Humberg's Gulch from episode 3 when Dwight and John actually met. But there's loads of these different towns through all out of Texas and all that area. So they're going, let's go to one of these and we can live there, because John was saying that it doesn't need any fuel. It's designed to be like it was back then. So there's no electricity or anything because they don't need it. So they're going to move there and they're going to live and set up shop there. So they're all on their way there, and I'm happy that I would love them to see them go there, just because it'd be it'd be a town, and it'd be a western town. We've never actually seen anything like that. Like, I know we've seen a small glimpse of it this season, but we never actually got to see something like this where someone's actually living in a town like this, because we've seen schools, we've seen Alexandria, we've seen the hilltop, we've seen the prison, we've seen the sanctuary, which is a factory. So I think a western town, I think, be very interesting to see, just because we've never seen anything like it whatsoever in either of the seasons. So Grace then passes out from dehydration, and I think we just seen a retirement home a few miles back. If we go back there and go a different route, Grace be okay, and we'd be able to still make it to the Humberg's Gulch anyways. So they get the supplies, Grace is okay, but then they get to a bridge that the tanker won't make it past, just because the bridge is not strong enough to hold it. So they're like, okay, we'll just start rebuilding it, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Victoria just pulls up as fast as she can, and then she gives them all this speech about how we can help, and they turn it down. She goes, okay then. So they shoot bullets in the air, and a big huge herd just comes out of nowhere, and they're all panicking, and they're trying to get everything as they can. They're trying to get they have to get everyone across the bridge, but they don't have enough time to get the cars across, so they have to abandon all their cars and just take as much supplies as they can carry. But as this is happening, I think it was Morgan and Strands were trying to hold back all the walkers, and this guy Tom, who we met last week, says, no, I'll record it. He records it all, and stupidly, and I mean he was stupid, he was in the middle and the bridge collapsed down by the truck, so the truck fell in the water, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm okay, and he wants to record, he goes, look what we can do, we did this, and then all of a sudden the bridge collapses and you can see him falling into the water. And I understand, like, they haven't killed anyone, so this is our first character death of the season, even though he only came in last week. And I know we've seen Logan die, but because he was a villain and he's not really like one of our survivors death, but seeing this guy die, it was a stupid way to kill him off. Even if you believe in this so much, but he put his life at risk. Like, he just gets reunited again with his sister, but he puts his life on the line to this extent where he dies to get something filmed. It was pretty stupid. But then when they get over the bridge anyways, and it's 15 mile, he's either 10 to 15 miles away from Humberg's Gulch. Like, will just walk, and seeing them walk, they really lived up to Fear the Walking Dead. But even the walking, I loved all the conversations and talking everyone was having on the way. Like seeing John and Morgan talking, I love it. I actually love their relationship. For it's probably one of the best elements of the new Fear the Walking Dead. But even watching it, you see Alicia and Strand. They don't really have anything to give them two characters. Like even though I hate to see them die, it's just they've got nothing for them to do at all. Like Alicia's just going around painting trees and Strand's just going around with her, and that's the entire back half because they just haven't had anything for them to do whatsoever. But then when they get to Homburg's Gulch, they're all just filled with hope. Like this would be our new home. This would be our new home. They get there and the entire place is just overrun, and they're all like, "What do we do now? We don't have any food. We don't have any water. We don't have anything." And Strand suggests, "Let's just call Victoria." And Althea is against it like big time. But then everyone's like coming around. It's like, I think we have to. We've got no other choice. So Morgan picks up the walkie and says, "Victoria, we need your help." And that's the end of the episode. So by the way they set up this episode, where they're actually asking for her for help in the second last episode of the season, I imagine Victoria is going to be in the next season as well. Unless there's a big huge shootout, like a big massive outcome of next week, I can't see a reason for her not being next season, which I'm not really enthusiastic about because I don't really like her as a villain or even just as a character, because the way she talks is kind of annoying. But we haven't seen Lucy Allen in a while, which has been pretty good. I was hoping we'd see them actually move into Homburg's Gulch and kind of set up shop there, because that would have been really interesting to see, rather than them just being on the road for a little bit longer, because I don't know if she's going to actually help them rebuild this place or she's just going to take them and move them to a different place. So I don't know. Overall, it wasn't as good as last week's episode or the week before, but it is still an enjoyable episode. They've gone a track of 3 now. Let's hope they keep it going for episode 16 to wrap up the back half of the season in well enough, because the middle 4 wasn't good. Like the first 4 were good, middle 4 were bad. This now is the first half, was second half, the first 4 were bad, the second half were good, hopefully, depending on next week's episode. So I'm kind of hoping they can wrap this up in a nice little way. Like they're not going to be able to do it perfectly, but just wrap it up in a decent way to show that the season had something to do, rather than absolutely not. Like the first half, you could just take the whole thing out and nothing actually really happened in the first half. So hoping by just the end of the season they have something to show for actually having season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead. But I'm not 100% sure. But if you did like the review, click subscribe so you can see next week's episode, and then as well the week after that, The Walking Dead's premiering, and I can't wait for that. So I'll be reviewing all those episodes. So if you want to see them, click subscribe so you can see them. And as always, thanks for watching.